And then Jesus goes on. Truly, truly, there's our words. I say to you, we speak of what we know, says Jesus to Nick, and testify to what we have seen, and you do not accept our testimony. I told you earthly things, and you do not believe, Nick. How will you believe if I tell you heavenly things? What's he saying? Jesus is saying, look, Nick, I want to tell you something. You've already said, I'm from God. You've already said, my teaching is valid. You've already said all the legitimacy I needed because I am a breath from God itself. And now you won't believe me when I point out to you, for example, that all those John the Baptist baptized, repented and were baptized. They're brand new people by the power of the Spirit. And when they receive me, they'll be born from above. They'll have a brand new, clean, sparkling, transparent life. Don't you get that, Nick? And then that little verse there. Jesus said, no one has ascended to heaven, but he who has descended from heaven, the Son of Man. He's saying to Nick, I came from heaven. My home is in heaven, and I descended to this earth, and I'm speaking authoritatively about these matters that even somebody as moral, as powerful, as wealthy, as influential as you gotta be born again. You gotta be born again. Now, we've got two how questions Nick asked. How can this be? How? But there is that unasked question. And this whole passage kept haunting me. I said, what? It's sort of like there's an elephant in the room, something that's not being asked in this dialogue. And Jesus, I think, perceived that unasked question. And it was not, how can I be born again? Nick kept asking. He really wanted to ask, why do I, of all people, need to be born again? Jesus' answer is in the next verse. And let me say it up front. The answer is, Nick, you've been bitten by the snake. Nick, you're snake bitten. And he used an Old Testament passage where Nick would get it. As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. And then the next verse, he just follows through and he moves on. He says, Nick, so that whoever believes in him will have eternal life. He's talking about the cross. Those Israelites were rebelled. Snakes came and started to bite all of them. They began to die. They were dying, and they went to Moses, said, what can we do? And Moses went to God, and God said, you take a stick and put a bronze snake on that stick, a symbol they'd been bitten by the snake. That's the reason they were dying. They were disobedient. They were sinners. And God said to Moses, hold up that snake on that stick, and everybody who looks at the snake on the stick will be healed. They'll be saved, and they did. And Jesus is saying, this is what's going to happen, Nick. I'm going to be crucified. I'm going to take all the bite, all the sin that's in you and the poison and everybody else, and I'm going to die for that poison so that they might have life. And that is the way they can have a brand new life. They can be born again.